We begin in the latest with the Israel-Hamas war, and Israel has set a deadline for its offensive in Rafah. It says it will invade Rafah by the start of Ramadan if Hamas does not return the remaining hostages by then. Ramadan, the Muslim holy month, is expected to begin on March 10th. The Israeli government says Rafah, a Gaza city which lies on the Egypt border, is the last remaining Hamas stronghold in the Palestinian enclave.
Just before Shabbat, I would like to send a message to the families of the hostages and to all the citizens of Israel. We will not stop until we return them in any way, as we proved last week. We will not stop even for one day until all our hostages are returned. And in any case, the war will continue until all of our goals are achieved. It is important that Hamas and its leaders know that they will not be in Gaza, neither over the ground nor under. Even with the month of Ramadan approaching, there is a possibility that it will continue. Either our hostages are returned or we will extend the war into Rafah, and we are preparing for that. We will act in cooperation with our partners in Egypt. We will evacuate the population and we will act.
Now, Benny Gantz, a member of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's three-member war cabinet, said the offensive could be carried out in coordination with American and Egyptian partners and will seek to minimize the civilian casualties as much as possible. This is the first time Israel has set a deadline for its Rafah offensive, and it is the last major city not invaded by Israeli ground troops during the 4-month war. The city is housing at least 3/4 of the displaced Palestinian population, and hundreds of thousands of people who fled the fighting are sheltering in tent encampments. Now, Israel announced its Rafah offensive deadline despite growing international pressure. The United States and Western allies, as well as the United Nations, have all issued urgent appeals to Israel to call off its planned offensive in Rafah. This also included a direct appeal from U.S. President Joe Biden to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. For weeks, international mediators have sought to broker a truce that would pause fighting and involve the release of hostages in Hamas captivity. However, hopes of a ceasefire seem to be fading fast, and Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly called calls to hold off fighting, especially in Rafah. He has called demands by Hamas delusional. However, even if a deal is struck, he insists that the campaign to eliminate Hamas in Gaza will not be complete until clearing all of Rafah.
This negotiation requires a firm stand. I must tell you, citizens of Israel, that until this moment, right up until this moment, the demands of Hamas are delusional. They want to defeat Israel. Of course, we will not agree to them. But when Hamas drops these delusional demands, we can move forward. Whoever is telling us that not to operate in Rafah is telling us to lose the war. I won't give it a hand.
Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts led by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States are also stalling. In fact, Qatar said indirect talks in Cairo between Israel and Hamas had hit an impasse. Western and some Arab states have rejected suggestions that Hamas as an entity can be allowed a role in governing Gaza at the end of the war. They see a revitalized Palestinian Authority take charge in Gaza once the conflict is over, unifying its administration with that in the West Bank. President Mahmoud Abbas has run the Palestinian Authority since 2005, and now speculation is rife that Hamas is reportedly willing to form a partnership with the Palestinian Authority and govern Gaza with the West Bank jointly. Now, in the latest twist, Russia has now invited Palestinian factions to meet in Moscow on February 26. If Hamas attends the Moscow talks, it would want the discussion to focus on reviving a committee of Palestinian factions as a step in rebuilding the Palestinian Liberation Organization, otherwise known as the PLO. Hamas would also want the current Palestinian Authority president, Mahmoud Abbas, to step down. Hamas has run Gaza since 2007 when it expelled the Palestinian Authority after winning elections there. Unlike the Palestinian Authority, however, Hamas does not believe in a two-state solution, as this would require a recognition of Israel. The Palestinian Authority was set up as part of the 1992 Oslo Peace Accords between Israel and the PLO. Many Palestinians now regard the Palestinian Authority as corrupt, undemocratic, and out of touch. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.